And they found that girls who got that vaccine were 10 times more likely to die over the next 3 months than girls who did not.
Bro, there were millions of Americans who quite literally believed that half of the country was going to die, okay? That's the kind of mental space that we're existing in.
The relative risk of smoking a pack of cigarettes a day for 20 years and getting lung cancer is 10. This was 11.35.
He's trying to say that you have a higher likelihood of being autistic as a consequence of the vaccines than getting lung cancer if you smoke a pack a day. That is an insane statement. Sounds like he breathes anything but air. He has like a lung or he has a vocal cord condition. So anti-vaxxers ultimately engage in, how are these motherfuckers on Rogan, but you're not? I mean, he's running for president and he's like directly in the pocket of Joe Rogan and his interests. Like, Joe Rogan has been a delusional anti-vaxxer. Remember the ivermectin arc? He's looking for motherfuckers who agree with him. So that's it. That's the thing. I think it's really interesting though that Joe Rogan, or at least Spotify, went from being like, man, we got to punish Joe Rogan for doing anti-vaxxer conspiracies, to just straight up giving up on any kind of restriction or regulation on that front. They were like, all right, everybody shut the f about anti-vaxxer stuff. So who cares? Nobody cares anymore. He claims remdesivir killed 53% of Ebola patients, and yet the inveterate psychopaths at the CDC decided to give it to COVID patients.
Right, pandemic. Fauci had remdesivir in an Ebola trial with 4 other drugs in Africa, and the IRB, the safety panel that you have to have a safety panel for. It's called the Institutional Review Board for every clinical trial. The safety panel stepped in and pulled remdesivir out because it was killing so many people. It was killing more people than the Ebola. Ebola kills 53% of people who get it, and the remdesivir was doing worse. So why would you take that out of that got thrown out of an Ebola trial and give it to people?
Because they want to kill people. Duh. It's so dumb. Everybody knows this. Obviously, this isn't true. Oh, well. God damn it. He's just citing the percentage of people who died in the remdesivir arm of the Ebola trial. They died from Ebola. Remdesivir is ineffective against Ebola and probably also COVID. He claims a DTP vaccine is extremely deadly based on one cherry-picked correlational study.
In 1979, they brought on a vaccine called the diphtheria, tetanus, and pertussis vaccine. And that vaccine was very dangerous, and it was killing or giving severe brain damage to 1 in 300 kids. And it was pulled in the United States. Bill Gates still gives it to 161 million African children every year.
The same vaccine?
The same vaccine. And to South Asian kids. And I'll tell you, we now know what that does. As it turns out, they had 30 years of data where half the kids were vaccinated and half the kids were not, between 2 months and 5 months of age. It was a perfect natural experiment. And they went in there and they looked at it. They looked at 30 years of data and they found that girls who got that vaccine, the DTP vaccine, were 10 times more likely to die over the next 3 months than children who did not. And they weren't dying of diphtheria, tetanus, and pertussis. They were protected against those by the vaccine. They were dying of anemia and bilharzia and malaria.
Bro, God, I don't want to be ableist so bad, but it's so hard. It's so hard, bro. It's like you're talking about kids dying. You're dying. You're literally dying while you're trying to talk about kids dying, man. It's so hard for me to be like, dude, what you don't seem to be describing a clean bill of health. The funniest part about this always is like, why? Okay? Why? What is the purpose of the government like mass vaccinating and like killing gigantic swaths of the population? What is the reason? And if your goal is like, oh man, it's because like big pharma is gonna make money, it's so stupid. Because why are they making money that way? Why are they making money that way? They already make money by this is why I love certain pharmaceutical conspiracies, ones that make sense, like, oh, they have a vaccine for cancer, but they just won't reveal it to you because the treatments are more expensive. Or same with like HIV AIDS, you know what I mean? It's like not PrEP, but there's actually a way to like perfectly cure it, which ironically, the rDNA stuff, like the same type of vaccine research that came from COVID actually is currently being utilized to potentially, cure HIV AIDS. The mRNA, I said rDNA, sorry, mRNA vaccines. Maybe you can get stupid from listening to this guy. like there are conspiracies that I do like in the pharmaceutical side of conspiracies. Like they just don't want to give you the real cure. Like they want to treat the illness because that's extended, and that way you can make more money. Okay, and it like kind of ties into people holding on to patents and trying to extend patents, and how much research and development funds go directly to that. So that kind of stuff is fun. But like when you say like they're trying to kill everyone they can like forcibly inoculate, it's stupid. It's just so stupid. I love this theory because it's so iconically convoluted. The FDA organized the conspiracies of hundreds of scientists to run fake, intentionally underpowered clinical trials internationally, by the way. Not just intentionally, but also internationally, there were clinical trials being run that also had the identical results, weirdly enough. Because it's always like, that's why like conspiracies are always so awesome, because it's just like when they were talking about COVID deaths being fake, you had to get every single doctor and nurse to be on board with this global international conspiracy where they were intentionally increasing COVID death numbers, which literally led to shutdowns, which included shutting down certain wings of the hospitals that made them actual money in profit-seeking healthcare industries in countries like the United States. And it also happened in places in OECD nations where they already have socialized medicine. So like even on the capitalist side, they shut down hospitals and shut down elective surgeries, which is how they made the money. It's like the biggest money maker for the hospitals. But also, so that's weird. So there's no profit incentive on that front, even in a capitalist country. But also, what about all the other countries where there are, where there's socialized medicine? Even then, they were like, no, they were all in on it. They were all lying. They were all collectively lying about COVID death. Billions of people got this vaccine, man. What happened? They say so many unhinged shit that never comes to fruition. Like, we were all supposed to die, and that literally never happened. And then we just like kind of forgot. There were millions of Americans who quite literally believed that half of the country was going to die. Okay? That's the kind of environment, that's the kind of mental space that we were existing in. Like, we kind of have forgotten, but it's been a couple years, and they kept pushing the death number back. Like, they were like, oh, you're gonna die in a month, you're gonna die in 2 months, you're gonna die in 3 years, you're gonna die in 4 years, you're gonna die in 5 years. And they still kind of go with that narrative. They've just moved the goalposts away from like, oh, they're gonna die, to like a couple athletes actually died suddenly, and half of those guys didn't even die. They just claimed that they did.
A study with monkeys, with macaques, and he did the same study Picciero did, but he did something you can't do with children, which he then killed the monkeys, and then he looked for the mercury, and what he found was the mercury, yes, it left their blood immediately. The ethyl mercury from the vaccines was gone from their blood in a week. The methyl mercury from the tuna fish was there 2 months later. But when he
oh God, when he clears his throat, I'm like, oh, finally. Nope.